We are back at it, another live, exciting show on deck today. Studio 110.live, my brand new radio show. Dirty Harry back in the hot seat after taking a little bit of time off. 19 years previously at a radio station here in Seattle. It's all about evolving, all about moving on. And today has been a crazy day. I live in Seattle, and I woke up, and it was raining. But then I got here to Studio 110's live headquarters here in Bellevue. And I'm looking outside of our studio windows here, and last time I checked, it's spring. It's springtime. And the weather today was supposed to be a high of 48 or 49, and it's snowing. And now it's like getting, the sun's trying to break out of the clouds, but spring and snow in Bellevue, 33 flights up looking down. I mean, that was a way to kick off the weekend. So I'm super excited. I got a lot of great guests on today's show. Want to shout out the guests from yesterday's show, Huey P. Over 1 million songs played on his hit song right now on World Star Hip Hop. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the extra social networking love that you guys provided. All the shares. Erica, my producer, said, I think, how many shares did it get yesterday just off Huey P?
Just off Huey P, we got about 25.
25 shares just on social and on Instagram. I mean, we're really doing it here at Studio 110, and we had Huey in here yesterday. Who else did we have on yesterday's show?
Yesterday we had Huey P.
Right.
And we also had the founders of Amway.
Right. And we had our friends Tracy Eden and his wife Kimberly talking about the platform that they built up. All right. So let's get it kicked off. Today, the first important guest on my new live show here, live podcast show. My buddy Ian goes by Uncle Ike around the cannabis community right here in the greater Seattle Pacific area. And of course, Jen, his right hand, the co-pilot of Uncle Ike's. I want to welcome you guys to the studio today. Thank you for coming by, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure the road conditions weren't too bad on your way over from Seattle or wherever you guys were coming from, right?
No, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Ian. You and I have we've known each other for some time. Shout out to our close mutual friend. Hopefully he's listening and not on some random conference call right now. Bobby Madavi. I'll give his full name out because you know what, I'm sure he wouldn't want it any other way. And Justin. So we have a couple good mutual friends that aligned us. I think it was last summer. I came to your headquarters up off of 23rd there, and we had a good conversation. I said, we gotta do some things together. So you know what? What do you know? We fast track a couple months down the road, and now you're a guest here at Studio 110.live. So let's kick it off. Uncle Ike's Pot Shop. It's a Seattle staple in the community. Everybody knows about it. And in my personal opinion, it's the nicest facility of its kind that I've ever personally seen anywhere in the greater Seattle area. And let's talk about how it all kind of, how the foundation came about, Ian, to kick off a huge, successful, major platform like you built with Uncle Ike's.
Well, I wasn't in the pot business like a lot of people were, but I had property up at 23rd and Union. And everybody that was in the building either got shot or they got burned down or arson. So nothing really worked. It kind of sat vacant. And then pot legalization came along, and it happened to fit the city zoning. And we just decided to give it a go, to give it a shot. A lot of people wanted to lease the place from us, and we realized that we probably knew more about it than they did, and we could make a better business.
And did you ever expect that Uncle Ike's would, be at the level it is today when you were just kind of going through the blueprints, the initial kind of phase in terms of the build-out process and the scope and the configuration and just the whole game plan of the empire that you built?
Well, we went into it realizing that people want, the friendliest service, the best bud tenders, and the lowest prices, and really the lowest prices. And our prices are the best in the state.
Absolutely. And how do you, in terms of the separation, in terms of your two stores, if I'm not, 2 stores, correct?
3 now.
3 now. Where's the third?
We have one in the CD, the original one,
Right.
then one on 15th on Capitol Hill,
Okay.
and then one in White Center.
One in White Center. When did White Center open?
Probably about a year ago.
Okay.
And then we're opening another one in a few months on Olive on the west side of Capitol Hill.
Great. So you'll have 4 stores.
Yeah.
4 stores. And do you keep them all like in terms of the same, look and configurations and product, or do you kind of switch them up a little bit?
They're pretty much the same, and really the same product. That's the main thing, consistency. So if you look at our menu, you're going to know what the price is at each store, what they have, and it's all the same.
And how did, in terms of, let's talk about how Uncle Ike's, how the name, how was the name brought to the platform, Uncle Ike's?
Ike are my initials, Ian Carl Eisenberg, and we were trying to come up with a name, and it was Seafair. And one of my niece's friends called me the creepy uncle, and that's where it came from.
The creepy uncle. You're as far away from that as I can possibly imagine. And I get my haircut at Rudy's across the street from your location up on 15th, and every other time or pretty frequently I see Macklemore. And I know Macklemore is definitely one of your customers, as well as Justin, who we talked about, and a lot of Seattle celebrities. Jen, I want to introduce you here to the show. You are the talk about kind of a normal routine day for the platform that you continue to build up at Uncle Ike's and being Ian's right hand. Just kind of walk us through an average day from morning till evening on what it's like on that side of the frame.
Well, it's a lot of babysitting and a lot of compliance watching. It's not as glamorous as everyone probably thinks that it is. We just try and make sure that the staff is happy and we're providing the best service for the customers, and we've got the best products on the shelves.
And in addition to Uncle Ike's, you've got a car wash. You've got a car wash on 23rd that I've stopped by. What else is kind of in the makings right now? Obviously, you have the new store opening up, but any other things up your sleeve? Any surprises up your sleeve that can be divulged here on the show? Or
No, we're just focusing on opening more stores in Seattle.
and how many do you ultimately want to have? I mean,
By the end of this year, we hope to have 5.
5.
Yeah, we're only allowed to have 5. Then we'll get the rules changed probably for the next year and open up some more.
And is it really difficult? Like, I know there's a ton of laws and there's a whole bunch of legalization that has to go into probably every component of being an owner to this caliber. And is it just does it really even surprise you in terms of like when whoever's reaching out to you saying, well, it has to be this way, or we have to change up some wording, or I mean, I don't have the knowledge that obviously you have from the cannabis side, but I would imagine it gets stressful, right?
Well, we're not really in the pot selling business. We're more in the liquor control board compliance industry. Like every cool thing we want to do has to be run through compliance, and most things we can't do.
Yep.
Most good ideas just aren't doable because the LCB has so many rules.
And what's that process? So if there's something that you want to do, does it have to be submitted in writing, or do they come? Can you schedule a meeting, or?
No, they never tell us if we can or can't do something. They just tell us after the fact that we're in trouble for it. So a lot of lawyers, a lot of consultants, a lot of reading laws.
Yeah. And in terms of like all the products right now on your shelves, what would you say is your grandiose top seller that you just can't you can't keep enough product in?
Well, still we're what, Jen? About 65% just flour.
Yeah.
And the rest, how's it divided between like vapes and edibles?
Vapes, concentrates are probably next, and vapes are wrapped up in those. Edibles might be 10% right now.
And when do you ever get calls from people that maybe they're coming, they don't live here, they're out of state, and they're looking for a particular product, and maybe it's not on the shelves, maybe it's in the back room? Is that do you,
People from out of state don't even know what we have. Like they're going to want things that are so basic, and they usually get overwhelmed because there's so many more options in the Northwest. We have more options in Washington State than anywhere else in the country. Like you go into a shop in Colorado, and they might have 5 or 10 strains of pot, and what do we have? A couple hundred?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't compare.
I think our menu is about 80 pages front and back right now.
Wow. So when Snoop Dogg is up here, and shout out to my buddy Snoop Dogg, when he's up here and he shouts out Washington as having some of the best, in his humble opinion, best, marijuana cannabis out here. I mean, he's,
You can't compare. Ours is so much better than anywhere else in the country.
Maybe we'll have to send a little care package down to him from Uncle Ike's.
We can't send anything
You
out of
can't
state.
say anything. Okay,
No,
can't. That's
anything
one
fun.
of the,
You just
can't
need to
do anything fun. So we don't want any of the liquor board or any of those guys knocking on our doors saying let Snoop Dogg go to his own dispensary in California and get whatever product that he wants. What would you say, Ian, from being an owner of now 3 Uncle Ike's locations, and then obviously the car wash and the glass shop, if you had to kind of rule out everything on the stressful side, but then to be able to apply that to what gets you just amped up and charged up to start the day, what are some things that get you excited to kick off the day every day?
It's really the bud tenders and the customers. But the bud tenders are so passionate, enthusiastic about their jobs and the products they're selling and the different strains or the new extraction or the various technologies. They love it. Then the customers come in and they're so happy, because they're gonna go home and get high. What's
Yeah.
better than that?
Yeah. And do you, I mean, how often are you in the store, like talking to customers, or is Ian kind of more the wallflower where you like to go in and no one knows that you're in there?
I'd rather be the wallflower. I hate talking to people.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Jen? Yeah.
Don't listen to him. He loves to be in the store.
Yeah. You like to,
Nobody else wants me there.
you like to talk to people and get people's opinion, and because that's something that I've always honestly looked up to. Like I remember the former, I want to say he was the CEO of JetBlue Airlines. He would be notorious for getting on his airplanes and passing out peanuts and walking up and down the aisle, introducing himself, giving the handshakes and asking, his customers, like, what could we improve on as an airline? And I've always like that level of understanding on the customer CEO base or whatever level you're at has always been, something that I've always admired and looked up to. So
Yeah, I think that's what it takes to really know what your customers like, so you can give them what they want, even more so in the future.
yeah. So in addition to, like, you talked about like the constant legalization and the hoops that you have to jump through. What are some things that bother you that you don't like about the industry currently right now?
Well, the taxes. I mean, nothing that comes down to that. Like our prices, let's say a gram of pot at $10. Of that $10, $4.70 goes to the state right off the bat. That's why we're still cheaper than any other state, but it's still more expensive than it could be.
Right. And you hear about the government on a national, federal, level, and they talk about, them trying to come in and disrupt things. I mean, does that concern you at all with?
I stopped listening to it. There's nothing I can do about it, so there's no point in worrying
I mean,
about
do you
it.
think there's even any concerns just based on now that, it affects so many people in so many ways,
Yeah, people are a lot smarter than me are really worried about it, so I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything to worry about at all. You've done some fun events. I've driven up and down, and it's been probably a little bit of time, but I wanted to ask you. You've done some events in your parking lot at your location off of 23rd. What was the last event you guys did? You guys did something for, what was it? It was you took over the parking lot and you had some of your top echelon customers
I
and.
think our last thing was our anniversary party over the fall.
Gotcha.
In the fall, yeah.
Let's talk about the one coming up next month at
Let's do it.
420.
Let's do
Our
it.
420.
Yeah.
It's kind of like put together by stoners for stoners. So we are doing a hodgepodge of kind of ridiculousness.
What do we have? We have a petting zoo.
We have a petting zoo.
A petting zoo. Wow.
We have
Wallabies.
Oh yeah, wallabies. We have a mechanical.
You can just come a little closer to the mic. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a mechanical bull, but it's really a joint, so you can get on and ride the mechanical joint.
Did you rent that from Cowgirls in Pioneer Square, or did you?
No.
No, you have your own? Yeah.
What else are we doing? Well, a lot of our vendors will be out there,
We have
talking about
clowns,
their stuff.
we
We're
have
gonna have
tacos.
Yeah, lots of tacos. Full Tilt's coming. Full
Do you like
Tilt's
tacos,
gonna
Ian?
come out too.
Do you personally like tacos?
Who doesn't like tacos? Come on. We have a new taco truck in the parking
It's
lot
so
at 23rd
good.
and Union, the best taco truck in the whole city.
It is so good.
Awesome. Didn't I think we know the guy who's
Moises.
Moises,
Moises,
yes.
Yeah.
Famous,
He's
for sure.
We've had some good conversations. Shout out to Moises because he's going to be working with us in our video team here to put together some cool video. So the event. So I'm guessing the event is in the parking lot at the 23rd location.
At the 23rd, yeah. I think we're going to do it from 4 to 7, I believe, since it's going to be a Friday night.
And we're going to have the best prices of probably the history of the industry.
Yeah.
So just that one day would be the day to be there because it's like the next day it's like almost Black Friday sale. You just,
It's totally- this is
gone.
our Black
It's
Friday.
gone.
Yeah,
It's
this
gone.
is total. Yeah.
So maybe
This is our Christmas and New Year's in one.
There you go. So maybe Ian, you and I can talk about. Maybe we'll bring maybe we'll be able to get the show out there live.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe
That'd be great.
you and I could maybe do some co-hosting and get the people could really meet and see the real Uncle Ike.
Yeah.
They can see you now, but be able to come up and shake your hand in person. I've had a lot of other friends that have been interested in exploring, and obviously I know in order to acquire a license in this business, I mean last time I asked, I think it's well over $1 million, right? Just to
Well over $1 million now, yeah.
well over $1 million. So what would be the advice for someone that was like you a number of years ago that would like the opportunity to maybe do something on a smaller scale? What would be the advice from you?
It's tough. Like most companies are losing money. Most of the retailers, most of the growers, most of the processors. But have a brand. Make yourself different. Most of the pot brands out there are green this or can of that or
mountains and streams.
Yeah, have a personality.
And when it comes time to all the products that you have in your store, how does it work? So are there actual reps that will come in, Jen, and that will meet with you, like in the fashion business? They'll bring in the new collection, and you'll buy what you want. And so I talk about that process on, when they come in. Talk about how the product is laid out, and do you guys have special people that come in and test it to know which products you guys want to bring in? And
The bud tenders.
Yeah, the bud tenders.
Yeah.
We rely
so that's a
upon
good day for them, right?
We thought that Jen and I, when we started this, we thought that we could make the decision of what would sell. We could push stuff on the customers, tell the bud tenders what to sell.
Right.
And we were totally wrong.
Yeah.
They sell what they like, they sell what they believe in, and we only carry the products that they kind of tell us to carry.
Yeah.
They get.
We get samples in from vendors, and then it goes out to our bud tenders, and the bud tenders test it out, and essentially tell us what they like and what they think they could sell it for, what people would buy it for.
And how many reps altogether, and how often are they coming in? How many reps?
There aren't reps in this business because the state doesn't allow distributors.
Okay.
So every farmer has to sell their own products to us.
Okay.
So it's kind of inefficient. So they have to physically come and drop off samples, and so we get samples every day, multiple samples.
Every day.
Every day. There's so many growers out there competing for shelf space.
And where is most of this product coming from?
Really all over the state. Eastern Washington obviously has the most of the outdoor and greenhouses. There's still in Western Washington, you have a lot of indoor growers. I think they're slowly dying off. It's so expensive.
Uh-huh. And do you have an opportunity, Ian, to go to some of these facilities where, the product is being grown and meet with the farmers and meet with people? Do you do that, or do you send your team out there?
No, we all do. But yeah, I go to a lot of them.
And what do you see, like, when you're out there? Like, what, I'm sure you have stories and stuff that you've seen that's been more impressive than others, and.
Everybody has so many different styles. The only thing that kind of gets to me is, especially in Eastern Washington, you have a lot of hops. Washington is the capital of hops for the country.
Right.
Hops and cannabis are close cousins. They're the closest you can get to plant-wise. So some of the pure farmers over there have learned pot really well, really quick.
And I would, I've never had the opportunity to come to your personal home, but do you have, just like when, friends come over, is there a special, Uncle Ike's room in your house that, if people don't want to go to the store, they could just, show up to your house and, be able to place a little order via PayPal or something like that? Or?
I have 3 teenage boys, and I have to. Yeah. So it's kind of on lockdown.
Yeah. So you probably have your little home studio where you keep it, for you or your friends, and the only person that has a key to that is Ian.
Yeah, my kids can pretty much get into anything I have, I think.
Yeah. How about you, Jen? Like, I'm sure you have friends that hit you up, like, it's like, save me a trip to the store, like, Can I treat you to happy hour, and can I get a little this, a little that? I mean,
well, I can provide good advice, but I'm not very good with hosting, I should say.
Here's the weird thing about the business. So let's say you're a marijuana grower, you're a farmer,
right?
And you want to sample your own products.
You really can't.
You can't. You have to sell it to us, then come buy it from our store to smoke the same pot that you grow.
So it's a win-win, really. It's a win-win for you.
We let them buy it at cost, buy it back. But they're not allowed to sample their own pot.
Yeah.
And the state tracks it that closely from seed to sale.
And I just feel like, do you see in the future, will the process just be improving and getting easier for not only owners like yourself or even customers as well?
No.
No.
I think the state likes bureaucracy, right? If you're a bureaucrat, you want more rules, not less.
Yep.
So I don't. We're getting better at following the rules. The whole industry is, but I don't think we'll ever have less rules.
Yep. You and I, back in the summer or whenever it was when we met at you have a really cool office at where your headquarters is, and we talked about doing some fun events in addition to the 420 party coming up that we'll be talking about more this hour. But I think it would just, like, when we talk about like events, whether we're bringing artists into the mix to do performances, or I know we can't do giveaways on the cannabis side, but I think there's some fun, creative measurements that we could build in and do, especially with us going into spring and summer. I think we could do some fun Dirty Harry Uncle Ike collaborations.
We totally should. That'd be great.
I think we should. We should get Bobby out there to give his fun. And Bobby, I'm sure you're listening, so I say this out of fun. The fun ADD side of Bobby, because we have to keep it focused. But
he'll crush it.
Yeah, Bobby's one of those guys that you give him an idea, and then you ask for kind of one smaller response, and you're going to get 52 of them, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a good way to sum it up. With
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What other things do you enjoy doing, Ian? I almost called you Bobby. What do you enjoy doing when you're not, intertwined every day in the industry and the business that you're in?
I don't have that much going on 'cause between work and 3 teenagers. It keeps me pretty busy.
What time do you kick off the day? What time do you usually?
Just normal, like 8 or so.
Normal hours, and it would be cool one time just to be able to come up to the office and watch, the bud tenders kind of, be able to, signify and say, which that they like more and less. And because I've always kind of been a behind the scenes type of guy. Like, I know there's, the level that the customers can come in and purchase and get the visual presentation that they should on the retail side. But I've always been fascinated with just kind of the way, things, how things kind of come about, on the backside of an industry and in a business like this. And, it's definitely. I don't think it'll ever die down.
Yeah, the shops are.
They're the entertainment. They're the ones that they have the intense passion for what they're doing. They get excited about every single new product we get. They can't wait to try stuff. They can't wait to tell everyone about it.
When they discover a new strain, the excitement in their voice when they share it with all their coworkers and customers.
That's like my favorite part of it, of what I do, is being able to see them and how much they just really enjoy what they're doing.
And how many bud tenders are there for all 3 locations right now?
About
110.
Wow.
About 100.
110. And in terms of, the inner working relationships, will they kind of, be able to leverage, and I don't know if this is allowed, is it allowed to, for Uncle Ike purposes, is it allowed to put it on, the Instagram? Are you allowed to go on social and promote new?
Oh, yeah, they can.
They can, but our Facebook, when we put it up, it gets taken down. Mm-hmm. We put up Instagram, it gets taken down.
Wow.
Yeah, but they a lot of them have their own channels, and they really enjoy talking about the stuff that they like, and,
awesome,
and things that they find that are great.
And I think Seattle, when we talk about Seattle, and Seattle's becoming just so much, so trendy and so hip, and especially Capitol Hill and the Central District in terms of how the neighborhood is changing and evolving. And I remember, believe me, Ian, I remember the past businesses that were there, and now, and I take I-90 to work, and I drive by there, that intersection, I see your glass displayed perfectly on the shelves, especially when it's a red light, you really have an opportunity to see the product. So it's evolved, and that's what's so so cool to me, Ian, is what you've built up, the platform that you and Jen and your team have built up. It's cannabis, it's the glass, it's it's the car wash, it's the whole kind of it's a lifestyle brand. I mean, I see like Uncle Ike's has turned in and transitioned into, when if you're just moving here, like I talked about earlier, it's like to go to Uncle Ike's, right? I mean, it's
always good. It's always a good experience. That's what we're going for. It's like going to Dick's.
Yeah. Consistency is a key to success. And earlier in the week, I actually had a friend of mine on the air with me. His name is Izzy Sanchez, and he's a big record executive out of New York City. He's getting ready to unveil the new Kanye West song and the new Nicki Minaj song. So he's been in the business for just like under 40 years, and him and his son recently bought several acres down in Medford, Oregon, mm-hmm. where they've got a whole growing operation, and so when he comes up here, he's actually going to be up in a couple weeks. Maybe I could
for sure.
introduce you guys, and he might be a good guy for you to meet. I don't know if product can be brought over. Can't. So, but if it
someday
it'll be able to. But
probably not under Trump, but someday.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So it'll be this administration or whenever it needs to be to make things ultimately easier for a foundation. Have you ever been in the store when Macklemore's come in?
I haven't. No, not personally.
No. How about you, Jen?
No, I haven't.
And we never talk about our celebrity customers when they come in.
I've seen him at the car wash, though.
Well, I think it's okay that I brought it up because I've seen him come in and he always has a big smile on his face when he walks out. So obviously Uncle Ike's is doing something right. So
that's one good thing. We always have happy customers.
That's so important.
Nobody's unhappy leaving with a bag of weed.
That's super important. It's kind of like that Nordstrom's customer service, right? I mean, I always say, what's the difference between Nordstrom's and Macy's? Well, when you go and shop, if you do shop at Macy's, the attendant behind the desk, they'll hand you the bag over the counter. But then when you go to Nordstrom's, the sales associate will actually walk around and hand you the bag. And
I've never thought about that. That's totally true.
Yeah, and from a customer service aspect, I've brought up that example many times. It's like, what's a better opportunity to have the shopping bag just handed to you and says, hey, have a good day, catch your bus, or get out of here, or have the person walk around the counter and hand you the bag with a handshake, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of the business model that you've taught your budtenders at Uncle Ike's. And has Uncle Ike's ever thought about transitioning into the fashion game, doing some T-shirts and hoodies around Uncle Ike's?
We need to. We have T-shirts and stuff, but we need to work on them.
I think it would be cool. I think it could have its own, Instagram, Instagram kind of feel and look, and we could maybe give some away here on the show. And
let's do it.
So let's get into. I want to talk about the 420 event again, because we always have new listeners transitioning in. But let's talk about the 420 event and what people can expect ultimately that day.
So around 3 or 4 till about 7, we're going to have a DJ and hopefully some glass blowers. Our vendors will be out. They'll be giving information on their products. We'll have some clowns out.
You'll have a mechanical bull.
We'll have a mechanical bull. It's
Joint,
really a
mechanical joint.
Yeah, it's a joint.
You'll have tacos. Now, for people that
definite tacos.
For people that like tofu, that don't eat a lot of meat, will Moises, maybe Moises on his truck that day, Ian can have
no tofu. We don't have tofu at Uncle Ike's.
No tofu there. Okay.
Well, we'll have a petting zoo, so they can enjoy the live animals.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited because how many other locations like an Uncle Ike's do that for their customers? I can't think of any.
We just don't take ourselves very seriously, right?
No, I think that's a good, Jen. I think that's a good motto. But I also think you guys. How many just off the 3 locations? How many customers are coming into all 3 every day?
About 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even imagine, what, it's none of my business, it's none of my listeners' business, but I would imagine, when it comes time to the dollar amount, we're all in business for a reason, and I'm sure it's doing well like it needs to do well. So let me introduce the next. Believe me, you're not going anywhere. You guys are gonna hang out. But my sister Samantha just walked in the studio. This show is getting so big, Ian, that my sister and my brother-in-law. Doctor, here, pass. We can just. Usually, I don't. Dr. Spiegel. I don't usually do this live on the air, but hopefully everybody can. Everybody can see the cameras. This show is getting so large, reaching completely new platforms, that my sister just flew in from New York City with my brother-in-law. I like the jacket. You must know that I like leather jackets, Matt, because
we're excited to be here.
I like the leather jacket. How was the flight?
It was wonderful, but I didn't mean to intrude on this fabulous
You're not.
interview,
You're not.
So.
The show is only getting bigger and bigger, Samantha. So get a little closer to the mic here, so
sure.
I can hear you guys. So did the pilot tell you guys when you left JFK or wherever you guys flew out of that there was going to be snow in Seattle today?
No, we didn't know, and we had a nor'easter about 2 days ago, and we just landed, and we thought we were going to get some beautiful Seattle weather, but we landed in the snow, so I guess we brought the snow here.
and meet my friend. This is an on-air introduction for the cameras and for the visual here and audio. This is my friend Ian Eisenberg, and Jen is right hand. Samantha, I don't know if you. I'll show it to you this weekend. You probably aren't aware, but Ian and Jen run a very successful company called Uncle Ike's.
Yes,
it's a very successful cannabis retail facility and glass and car washes. So they're doing very well. So let's talk about. Sorry, what were you going to say there, buddy?
Oh, I just said so cool.
Yeah, there you go. Talk about the flight.
Oh, the flight was great. 6
How long?
hours.
6 hours.
Have you guys do you guys come to New York often, or not too much?
Yeah, I used to, yeah.
You used to come a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. You just get on the plane and get off, and then you're here.
Do you remember my childhood friend Bobby Madavi?
Yes.
Yeah. So Bobby and Ian are also very very close. So that's how this relationship
Bobby.
kind of
Bobby's the best.
He is.
But
He's
you
a
know,
good guy.
Kind of stemmed off. So the pilot did inform people coming to Seattle that there was going to be snow.
No, I don't think he informed us, but we were asleep. Matt, did he inform us?
I had no idea.
No.
I thought this was normal Seattle weather.
Coming
He's
from
never
New
been
York.
here before.
It's your first time in Seattle?
Yeah.
First time. The airport is so nice.
It's
Right?
beautiful.
Oh my God, JFK is disgusting.
Yeah. What do you guys think of my studio here?
This is unbelievable. It is
Yeah?
so gorgeous.
Do you feel like you're at a New York radio station here?
Much bigger.
Yeah, you know, I mean that's kind of the feeling that I want to hear at Studio 110's headquarters.
I was
Yeah.
telling your colleague here I would never go home. I just live here.
Well, if you want, we have a private residence over here, Dr. Spiegel or Matt. Or since you're my brother-in-law, I don't have to call you Dr. Spiegel, but
Maybe we'll just stay here tonight.
yeah,
Sounds kind of fun.
maybe you can hang out here with one of the partners, and
Definitely.
you know you'll keep you know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So what happens at Studio 110's headquarters doesn't leave here. So Samantha, let everybody know who you work for and what you do in New York, because I know you've I brought up Cardi B before to you. She's a very well-known female artist, and you've said that you've had the opportunity to do some business with some.
Well, that was actually, so I work for Oath, which is the parent company. They work with Sorry if you can't hear me. I'm not so good on the radio, I guess.
Well, you got to be good here for the cameras too. It's bigger than a radio show. It's a live feed too. We got people watching all over the country here.
Well,
so.
we work with Yahoo Lifestyle, and we went to Cardi B's manicurist, which was very, very, very cool up in the Bronx. And we got all the tips and tricks of how she does Cardi's nails. So I guess that's what you're referring to.
Well, yeah. Can you talk about that? Can you let the
Yes, how
listening
does she do
audience?
her nails?
Yes, Jen would like to know.
Oh, well, let me tell you how she does her nails. It is the most unbelievable place. Her name is Jenny Swee. She is unbelievable. And she it's acrylics, and she puts Swarovski crystal on the nails. And they're like stiletto nails, so they're very, very long. Don't look at mine right now. They're not too fabulous. And yeah, no, mine aren't so great.
Well, when you get back, Cardi B's nail lady will do your nails too.
Jenny
so.
Swee.
Jenny Swee,
Yeah,
yes.
she's fantastic. She'll do any of your nails, and she has a huge wait list.
Okay.
It's quite pricey, but
Well, what are the prices?
I don't know the exact
No
answer.
problem.
You're putting me on the spot
No
here,
problem.
but
I'm sure the wait list is a couple months probably too, because she's probably on the road a lot with Cardi B at all her stage shows and all her club appearances that she does. Cardi B's nails have to look on point,
and
right?
she is so sweet and so nice and personable, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And talk about just your daily routine on the grind out there, because New York City, some people have been there. Not everybody's been in there. We have a lot of listeners in New York checking us out, but it's a grind out there, right?
Well, as Matt says, he feels so much calmer here. Is that true?
Beyond.
Yeah, it's just a
This
calmer.
is your first time here, though, so just give it a while.
No, you can't compare. I just feel like my back just always hurts being in New York. I'm just stressed all the time.
So you won't have to take the ibuprofen today for the back. It'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll
Good.
be okay.
Well, come to Uncle Ike so we can help you with the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys could have a little, yeah.
We'll do an exchange
exactly.
later.
Absolutely. So Samantha, talk about before I transition back. We're going to do kind of a back and forth here with.
I was just coming to listen. I'm excited to actually.
If you fly out here from New York to be
talking.
a guest on the show, like I wouldn't want to make you sit on an airplane for 6 hours and not put you on the radio. So talk about just like I said, give us the who else you've worked with and your daily routine out there in New York.
Well, life is very exciting. I started off working for Katie Couric back when I graduated college in 2012.
Okay.
And I was at ABC for 2 years. Then I moved over to NBC to work with Meredith Vieira. Loved that as well. And then I worked for Amazon, actually, but not in Seattle. So I was over on the East Coast office. I helped launch a show there called Style Code Live, which is a live fashion and beauty show. And then now I've moved over to Oath, which is really going great so far. I've been there for a few months now, and I'm loving it.
And one of the reasons I think they acquired you was you're being very humble and modest. But at your last position, your one of your focuses was Sammy on the streets.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you would go out and you would interview people similar, Ian, to what's the on ABC? What's the night show lead host? Kimmel. Kimmel's Jimmy Kimmel's kind of right hand going out there and interviewing people and talking to people. So you the spin, Samantha, that you put on that show. That's how entertainment obviously works. People saw you and they saw your
Well,
talent.
thanks, Harris.
Yeah, they saw your talent and they wanted to acquire you. So now in your current position, talk about that. What's kind of a day in and day out for for what you're doing out there?
Well, we're doing lots of exciting things in New York. Sammy on the Street was fun. We basically sold products. So we would go, and if you had a product you wanted to sell, I would go on the street and sort of talk to people about it. It would be live shots. It was a lot of fun. And now I'm more producing talent relations and things of that nature back in New York.
Any fun things up the sleeve that can be divulged here at Studio
Some
110
exciting
Live?
things, but they're all top secret.
Top secret. So you'll have to fly out here again and unveil those here, or call in. You can call in. We'll talk into the show. All right, transitioning here. I haven't seen you guys, by the way, since August, right, at the wedding. Last time I saw you guys was August. Do I still look okay from a doctor's standpoint?
Oh, you look fantastic.
So if you were giving me a physical, would I pass the physical? Do I look okay?
The visual physical, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you can do the rest later. So yeah, you can do the rest later. So
Confidentiality.
Yes. Welcome to Seattle, my friend. You say it's not what you expected it to be like, huh?
Oh, it's just so peaceful.
Yeah.
You're not in Seattle
I've never
yet.
seen this much green in a
This is
city
Bellevue.
before.
This
You're
is
Bellevue. You're
This
not
is
in Seattle.
Bellevue. This is Bellevue.
Well, when I think of Bellevue, I think of the Bellevue Hospital
Right.
in Manhattan.
And that's
it's
a mental
much
hospital.
dirtier place.
And that's a mental hospital.
Also a very famous mental hospital, yes.
Right. And do you have to see patients there? Or you try to avoid that at all costs?
Well, I used to back in school. I don't work at that hospital anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any questions, Ian, for a doctor or a New Yorker here?
That's a good question, yeah.
For anything that maybe Uncle Ike's could go from Washington, with Jen's help and transition to the East Coast.
Well, the East Coast is opening up soon. A lot of states are opening up for pot.
Yeah.
They are.
And if you wanted to do what's just the process in terms of getting through the thick red tape to be able to be a large scale owner here based in Washington, but want to be able to open up and get out of the state.
See, every state is completely different. Nothing is the same in any two states.
So you'd have to go through the whole process
whole
again.
process,
You'd have to
yeah.
go through that whole stressful, not sleeping at night process again, just to be able to open up a successful store in New York City.
Yeah, a lot of states are still doing the medical thing, pretending it's all about medicine and curing something, as opposed to just getting high and watching Netflix.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not all about Netflix.
Yeah, but as a doctor, stress is a killer, right? So if you can
absolutely. It's the
counter
worst
your
thing
stress,
ever.
yeah, it's good for you.
I know, at least as a physician, there's a special license in New York that you can apply for to be able to prescribe it that most physicians don't have.
Oh, it takes a special medical license?
I believe so.
Really?
Yeah.
How far away do you think you're from that, being able to prescribe it to your patients?
4 years.
4 years. Gotcha. 4 years. Well, the first
I
time
hope
you
no one on the East Coast heard that.
that's fine. But the first time you write the prescription, maybe you'll send me a picture and I'll send it to Ian. Maybe we can, embellish it, get it to its higher standards. So kind of transitioning back here to Ian and Jen, if you're just tuning in right now, Studio110.live, and you've always kind of wanted to know kind of the personality or the brains and just everything about the ownership between Uncle Ike's and the community and the customer base. I have the privilege and opportunity to have Uncle Ike and Jen here in the studio with me today at Studio110.live. It's been a great show. We kicked it off last Thursday with Sir Mix-a-Lot and Marcus Trufant and Andy Stokes. And yesterday, a big shout out to Taj King and Huey P. One of Huey P's songs right now, World Star, in 36 hours reached a million plays. So last time I checked, if you're over 1 million on World Star, you're doing something right. So it's been a great show, and I've designed my new show thanks to my producer Erica here, my assistant. She does so much. She does what time were you here last night till editing? 9:45. She was here 9:45 because one of our TV guys here that we work with is going to be doing a whole multiple TV spots for the show. So the show, this is not in any way, shape, or form some little rinky-dinky little podcast show. This is a high-end podcast show that will have we have a lot of surprises up our sleeves, a lot of guests, a lot of giveaways. So I'm really excited to be back on the air, and shout out to my buddy Brendan at his auto mechanic shop up there in Shoreline listening. My other Brendan not too far here in downtown Kirkland, listening at his restaurant and our international platform. My buddy Eitan in Tel Aviv, checking us out. So we've got we're growing nicely. What Matt, in terms of you talked about your airport experience, how JFK is a pile, and how SeaTac is nice. What other things did you pick up on your I-5 North commute back from SeaTac to where you're staying?
I-5 is the highway.
I-5 is the highway. Yes,
Okay.
I should have been more. Yes.
Oh, it's just so nice. You have the boats and the water. By us, we just have one highway on top of another highway below a parking lot, and it's just all smoke and pollution.
And I
I
heard.
feel like you have a mix of fresh air here.
Yeah, and we do. We have some of the best air.
With a lot of planes and airports in between. We saw the Boeing factory, the REI store. Sam doesn't really know. I know she grew up here, but she doesn't know her way around here this well. So she asked the Uber driver to be our tour guide.
Oh, good.
And lovely enough, he actually told us everything around here. He told us that was the original factory for Boeing, and then the trains. He really was quite good.
Good.
The
And
thing that gets me though, I was in New York last summer, and it's compared to Seattle. New York is so clean now. Like there's no homeless in Manhattan.
Really?
and- yeah.
Depends where you are.
You
Must
haven't
have
been to
gone to a
downtown. You haven't been to downtown Seattle yet. It's a different experience than
No.
Bellevue.
yeah, third.
Well, I've literally been on the I-5, as
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
in here so far.
Yeah.
Like what's that? What's the park on the old, the High Line or?
Oh, that's beautiful now.
Yeah, that is very nice.
They couldn't have that in Seattle. It would just be homeless people camping there. It was just gorgeous. It was fantastic.
Where did you stay when you were there, Ian? What?
I was
were
in
you-
I was in Times Square at
the
the.
W or something?
Nah, I forget what it was.
Yeah.
Times Square. That's changed though. That was like Disneyland.
It does look like Disneyland.
Did the Uber driver point out the Space Needle, or did he actually forget that on the scenic tour back from
did.
SeaTac?
Well, Sam pointed that out, but honestly, not to be down to Seattle, I thought I envisioned it at least to be a lot more modern and glass looking. It kind of looks like the 80s a little bit.
Well, it is. You haven't got the full tour yet. You haven't gone down. Gone down.
But we're gonna go up it.
You're gonna,
We'll go.
Yeah, you haven't gone and seen Amazon's glass. Is there a name of that? What they call that thing? The glass pyramid between their
Jen, do you
buildings.
know?
Oh, yeah, I don't. I
On
don't.
on 6th Avenue down there at their two of their new headquarters, two of the buildings down there. And I know it gets. I mean, I see buses lined up, and on the weekends, tourists just going up, just getting, taking pictures of a glass sculpture. So obviously, whatever they put, and then they got this new. I don't know. I think it's open to the public now, but they have this new grocery store where you can just, you just go in. And I remember the cameraman on, I think it was King 5, NBC, shout out to them, was going down there filming the first day. And he said he was even surprised. He thought he was just watching shoplifting happening left and right.
Yeah.
People just,
Yeah.
grabbing things and taking them out. But, leave it to Amazon's, engineers. They have, scanners and cameras. And so everything that you take off the shelf, you're automatically being charged for. And
It's like a mini bar. in
Yeah.
Vegas.
and I also want to shout out, speaking of Amazon, my buddy Jason down at AWS, listening right now with his whole team down there. Shout out to you. Shout out to your whole staff down there. I appreciate you guys watching and listening to the show. What are some? Let's talk about some new upcoming products at Uncle Ike's. Are we allowed to divulge some new products that'll be hitting the shelves here? Because I know you guys get new product every day, but there's some.
God, there's so much out there.
What are some of the exciting things?
The floor is yours, Jen, to talk about the new cannabis that's going to be hitting the shelves at Uncle Ike's.
The real changes are the vape cartridges.
Yeah.
That technology has evolved the most over the past year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Indigo Pros are amazing.
And how many different versions? How many different strains?
Hundreds.
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 And how do you have them? How are they? Like, talk about the display for the listeners so they can when
Well,
they
it
can.
all starts with what you like. Some people like indicas, some people like sativas, hybrids, CBDs, CBNs, different types of pot, and then
Some
it
are
goes from there.
flavored, some are not.
Yeah.
And when you run out, what's the turnaround time to restock the shelf? Like
We're never out.
never
We're
you're
never
never
out.
out. The distributor just has pallets in the warehouse of products. So things, things
We
you
have
sell.
so many different kinds of cartridges from so many different people. Yeah, I mean, if you run out of one particular vendor, we have 5 more that you can choose from.
You know, everything from flavored carts, like Fruity Pebbles kind of thing, to organic, natural products. It's everything.
So the Fruity Pebbles are probably people that need to kick off their day, and instead of a bowl of cereal, they're gonna
course,
have that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Talk about some. I wanted to kind of get into this before I kicked off the show earlier. The direct testimonials that you can chat about a few of them just from your customer base, and some stories that people may have reached out just about experiences from the bud tenders to the product to the overall experience at Uncle Ike's.
I don't know. Where are you going to start? I'm talking about myself. Like, there's like some of the benefits of our products. Well, you're a doctor. I've taken sleeping pills my whole life, from Ambien to Sonata to Xanax to Valium to the whole thing. Now, just certain cartridges.
Grab a deeper sleep cartridge
Yeah,
and
I
you're
haven't
on
used
your
any of
way.
that stuff in a couple years now.
Great.
Well, those pills can be super addicting and lots of side effects.
Can
Sleep
you write
walking.
scripts here?
A little closer to the mic, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry.
That's all right.
No, they could just be super addicting pills. Lots of side effects, sleepwalking.
I
poor
did some
sleeping
crazy stuff in
patterns.
my sleep with Ambien.
Yeah, absolutely.
You forget about it, too, until the next day.
It's partly an amnestic.
What?
It causes amnesia. You don't recall memories.
Yeah, we're not. I appreciate
Smaller
you. I
words.
appreciate you.
Sorry.
I appreciate you giving more of the definition to the word here for us West Coast folks, Northwest folks that haven't gone through many years of extensive medical training like yourself. Is it still true? I heard this that how many days a week do you have to actually be on call? 36 hours a day.
Oh my.
Nonstop.
36. No, the longest shift I've ever actually done is something like 29 hours.
Well, it's still the same, 29, 36.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no.
You come in around 6 a.m. So that means you have to be up at around 5, 10 a.m. and you leave the next day at around 9, 10 a.m. By the time you fall asleep, it's around 11. So you get to sleep through the following day. But then the next day you got to be back at work at 6 a.m. or so.
Are there some stories? I mean, I know, being a doctor, we can't, we have to be very, we have to be
many
very, we have to be
stories.
very respectful to people's privacy rights. But is there like one story or two stories that may stand out just from experience?
You are on the radio, so don't.
Yeah, no, going through it, I completely understand why there are so many shows about doctors and medicine. It's not a normal job by any means. There were a few days, some memorable things. So you mentioned Bellevue and the very famous, a lot of
Mental
psychiatric
hospital.
patients
Yeah.
show up there all the time in the emergency room from the streets, and all these homeless people, drug addicts, whatever. So there was one patient that was, he came into the emergency room. No one understood anything that he was saying, probably schizophrenic or something. Anyways, so we had this very old psychiatrist, someone pretty established in his 70s, who was examining the patient in the emergency room. And the patient was talking about how the Hulk was going to show him his lab, and the physician was like, "The Hulk?" He's like, the big green guy. And he turns around to his younger resident. He's like, "Superhero." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "Yeah," and then Wolverine was right next to him, and he was going to punch him. He's like, "A wolf, a what?" So, I mean, you just get crazy stories. There's only so much you can divulge, but...
No, but I've been told too that like you'll be in the operating room and then you'll get called. You're halfway done with one patient and have to run into another one, and it's kind of like almost a revolving door sometimes, nonstop.
Oh, beyond. I'm rushing between surgeries. It's a business like anything else.
So when people stress out just about overall project management and being able to get through their days, when you just talked about these types of stories, I mean it gets put into such levels of distinguished. It's such an honor not only from the standpoint of taking care of patients, but people don't realize the amount of hours and dedication that there's been days that you haven't even been able to eat dinner because you're taking care of people.
Oh no, absolutely. Before my wife Sam, I probably didn't eat very much or very well at all. I just didn't have time. I just literally got home, didn't have time I had to sleep. So I didn't shower, I didn't eat, I just went to sleep and hope to grab something bigger for the morning next day.
And do you have an extra set of scrubs at the house that if your husband is hungry and you need to get to the hospital, like he's saying, like I need some, I need.
I don't go with scrubs.
Well, actually, my lovely wife, she actually wakes up with
lovely
me
wife.
every morning at 5 a.m. and makes me breakfast.
Oh, great,
Gourmet.
great.
Wow.
When did you get married? Like
Yeah,
recently?
yeah, exactly. Hot second. Everyone's like, that's gonna end pretty soon. I'm hoping it
Don't get
does.
used to that.
I'm very used to it.
Maybe Matt, as the show continues, maybe with us having the capabilities of having people call in, maybe we'll work around your schedule, obviously as a doctor, but maybe we can, I'll talk to Erica about it, but maybe we could do a health doctor segment where
Yeah, sure.
you're coming on with us, every once a week, every couple of weeks, and divulge in the new the new platform in medical technology. How people can benefit from this procedure or whatever it is. So
All they need is marijuana, right? That's it.
Absolutely.
Just CBD.
Cure all.
Cures everything.
Yeah.
it cures everything. So
Heart disease, kidney problems.
Just
why
rub
not?
CBDs on it.
AIDS,
And you're
yeah.
good.
Once again, I appreciate everybody being here today.
Thank you for having us. Thank
you
you.
for making the special trip out here to join the radio show. I can't. How many radio shows kick off with a family member flying out within the first week of being broadcasting on this type of platform? So I appreciate you guys coming out here
We're super excited.
thank
Thank you.
you.
And thanks
For-
for
for-
letting us join you guys.
for a couple
Yeah,
days. Hopefully you're going to be in town. Hopefully you guys will have some time to maybe stop by again before you guys depart back to the East Coast.
Would be fun.
Let's kind of. I want to kind of give the proper closeout on the utmost highest level of respect to my buddy Ian here and Jen from Uncle Ike's. It's been an honor to have you guys stop by the show today, and I think we'll have to talk about this. We'll have to get a little bit more elaborate with this 420 event.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's figure something out.
I think
Sure.
there's a lot of things that we can do. I think maybe we can talk to some of the fashion friends, and shout out to Trash by Tony. I don't know if New York Fashion Week has happened yet, but he works with my buddies from the High Shoulder, and Jason and Jamal is actually in the studio with them last night. They're going to be guests on the show, and they do a lot in fashion, and I'm going to see if we can get them out to your event possibly. But Jason is on the keyboards, and he's got these multiple keyboards, and it's kind of like the electronic dance kind of mashup between hip hop and just kind of the way he's built the whole High Children's empire, and then Jamal is the rapper. So they put on a really cool stage set. In fact, Ebony Fashion Week a couple weeks ago, just down the street from Uncle Ike's, they performed, and one of the actors from Black Panther, the movie, he was there, and he was getting down and having fun. So any shout outs from you, Jen, family members or people at the store that need to have a shout out to kick this weekend off properly?
Just the great staff that we've got back there.
You do. You have a great staff at Uncle
We're very
Ike's.
lucky.
And how about you? I'm sure the boys are are they in school or can they get out of school right now?
Hopefully they're in school right now.
Hopefully they're in school right now, and I know how busy you are. Believe me, I know how busy you are. The one time that I met with you at your headquarters, you had people calling, and you had meetings to get to. I remember you had a really important meeting to get to, and I hope that meeting went well several months ago. But like I said, it's a true honor, Ian, to have you in here, and I want to make it more of a repeated pattern. I think as often as you guys evolve as a business with products, I mean, maybe it can turn into something where
Hopefully, yeah.
Have the bud tenders
have the
in.
bud tenders in.
Maybe more fun. Have some bud tenders on.
Yeah, let's get some bud tenders on next. Not to say, I mean, you were fun. I mean, I mean, it was a fun experience, but to get the bud tenders in here to
For sure.
unveil some new products, and what's a good way for people to reach you guys? Is there a social platform?
1-800 Get Drugs.
There you go. 1-800, and they'll be able to reach someone at
of course.
Yeah.
There's a whole kind of phone squad.
Ikes.com and 1-800 Get Drugs. That's the best way.
And shout out to your one of your security guys. I don't know if he works downstairs or runs your lot out there, but he recognized me, and we had a nice conversation. I think we've done some business together for some previous shows that I've hosted, and so you got a great staff there. And I've always seen
thanks,
that.
appreciate it.
I've always seen that when I walk by there. So I appreciate you guys sharing this today on your social networking. I don't want to keep you guys. I know you've got more meetings to attend to today, and hopefully this is the only radio show.
No, not so much. This is it.
Yeah, I know you haven't done a lot, and we'll make Studio 110.live, Ian, your official platform here to have the bud tenders in. We'll get Erica here to schedule the bud tenders in.
For sure.
And I know we can't do giveaways, but I think we can, if we incorporate some fashion into it, we can do some giveaways, right?
We can do giveaways, just not in the store.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can do some giveaways then on the show.
Yeah.
As long as it's not cannabis, yeah.
So maybe
some
it's
of our apparel,
maybe some apparel, some of the
merch.
glass,
Yeah.
or whatever we can
For sure.
whatever we can get our hands on. So if you don't mind, we'll get them on their way. So we won't take much more of Ian's time, and I'll keep my sister and brother-in-law on with me for a few minutes, and we'll transition and have a wonderful
All right,
weekend,
sounds
guys.
good.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much for coming in. I'll look forward to
Nice to meet you.
look forward to having you guys stop
luck.
by again soon. I'm always a big fan of talking about kind of breaking music news stories that are happening in the music business as I transition from guest to guest. Thank you, Jen. As I transition from guest to guest, and Kanye West came out and talked about the little hiatus in terms of the music business, in terms of waiting a little bit of time to get the next songs out there. And he said, you know, he just needed to spend some more time with family and more time with his wife and his kids. And he just didn't have the proper mindset to be getting back into the studio to recording new music. So that's coming from Kanye West camp. And I was on the phone with one of our promo guys last night, and we've got some fun tickets that we're going to be giving away to a summer festival coming up. So we'll be doing that. But I want to talk about just a personal experience real quick as I transition into my next guests, Eugene and Yulia. They'll be really exciting guests. They've definitely built a large platform for social media, and Yulia is an iconic figure here in the fashion industry. But speaking of fashion, so get this. A couple weeks ago, I was walking through Nordstrom's Rack, of all places, at Westlake Center in downtown Seattle. And I saw this tuxedo-style blazer from Diesel, and I thought, I don't think this is going to fit me, so I put it back on the rounder. And I came back the next week, and I knew what the price was. The blazer originally was $498. It was a $498 blazer, and the blazer was marked down to $67.50. So I said, that's a good deal. It's not even a matter of the money. I just, didn't really fit me right. And I don't think I was wearing the right, attire to make it fit right that day. So I went back 1 week later. And I tried it on again, and it fit me spot on. I go up to the counter, and the gal's ringing me up, and she looks at me with this big, huge smile. And I say, did I do something wrong? Is there something wrong? She says, no. Have you looked at the screen on the counter? So I look at the screen on the counter. And the screen on the counter says 0.01. And I said to her, are you telling me that this is a $500 blazer that's worth 1 penny right now? She says, yeah, it's your lucky day. It wasn't supposed to be on the floor. There's nothing wrong with it, but we're sending it out to an out-of-state store in Phoenix. I said, well, how often does someone walk out with a free item at Nordstrom's? So that, it was 1 penny, and I gave her $1. And she gave me the $1 back, and I said, well, I guess you guys don't deal with change. I guess you guys don't deal with change purchases at Nordstrom's Rack. So I still can't believe it. I never thought that, myself or anyone would have the ability to walk outside of a Nordstrom's with a free item that was normally $500. So I'm looking forward to wearing the blazer on the show and on the cameras, and people can have an opportunity to see that. In other music news stories, we got a few today. Wale is coming out, and we're gonna this take a little bit, so we're gonna try to save that for a little bit down the road. But Wale says that he had a very recognizable good snow day recently, and it has to do with video games. So we'll get into that story a little bit. Game shares, a West Coast rapper. He shares his most artistic Tupac masterpiece that anybody's ever seen. So we'll talk about that. And 2 Chainz also has some words for Jay-Z. So we'll try to get into those conversations a little bit later in the show. In the meantime, I want to kind of, I know they're not in the studio yet, but my next in-studio guests will be Yulia and Eugene. They did a really miraculous performance and party here at Studio 110's headquarters. A couple weeks ago, they had this whole place filled up. They had some really cool people. He did a whole international presentation, so we'll get them here. And I just want to shout out everybody watching right now on all our feeds, all our live feeds, all over Washington, all over the United States. We got some international viewers. Once again, big shout out to the guests yesterday on the show. We had Huey P in here and his manager Taj King. We talked about doing a new kind of weekly event. If you missed on yesterday's show, we're designing a new weekly opportunity for local artists to be able to come out and be able to perform for X amount of minutes, and we want to crown a new winner each week. Maybe that's a cash prize. Maybe that's graphic artworks for your CD cover. Maybe that's an opportunity to do a collaboration with Huey P. or an upcoming show. They were at the Showbox Soda a couple weeks back with Lil Baby and PNB Rock, and man, I hosted that show, and that show just went down. The kids were out there. There was just a wide range of all age groups. It was actually snowing, but people weren't afraid of the snow, even though it was sticking on First Avenue down here in downtown Seattle. But it was just an all-around good event. So I'm looking forward to continuing to have them. I also want to shout out Sir Mix-a-Lot on his way right now. He's embarking on a 47-city U.S. national tour. Mix is going to be checking into the show on the tour, letting me know how the cities and dates are going. And Marcus Trufant in Bellevue, he's going to be a regular on the guest. We're going to get his co-host from one of his shows, The Barbershop, in here. So the show is just reaching all new levels and all new high levels, let's say. So let me welcome in my next guests here into the studio, Yulia and Eugene. You guys can hang out if you want, if you have to leave. No problem. Thank you, Samantha, my sister, and my brother-in-law, Matt, from the East Coast coming by, and maybe we'll get you guys back on before you leave. So if we can we'll get Eugene to sit right here, and we'll get Yulia to sit right here, and we'll get kick this new segment off. I'm excited to have you guys here. I appreciate you guys taking the time. This studio looks a little bit different than our previous conversation, right? When you guys were in here and we were just kind of getting to know each other. Now you're in the mix of what are your opinions and thoughts? If you can get up closer to the mic here, what are your opinions and thoughts here?
Looks pretty good. So
yeah.
Should I?
Yeah, let's put the headphones on, and Yulia, if you want to sit down here and put the headphones on, and we're live, so we'll get this kicked off here, and I want everybody to see you here on the cameras as well.
Okay, and the cameras.
Yeah, so if you just want to scoot up here to this microphone right here, this is your mic, and put those headphones on.
Doing it.
Normally my producer would assist you with these types of things, but she's walking down my sister and brother-in-law, who, by the way, just flew in from New York City to be guests on the show. So I thought that was cool. So if you guys can come close to the mics for me, I want to give you guys the proper introduction. It's a pleasure and honor to have Eugene and Yulia here in the studio at Studio 110.live. Thank you, by the way, to both of you guys for putting it on your social. I saw the traction that it got, and there's a lot of people out there excited to watch this, watch our next segment. So let's get things kicked off. Introduce you guys coming from your frame, and let everybody know, let my listening audience know what you guys are working on and what you guys are in the process of building.
Yeah,
Yulia?
I have my sexy voice today.
No problem. As long as you talk loud, I'll turn up the microphones and people can hear you.
Perfect. Well, we're building a new world, a new business framework that is going to connect, communicate, get inspired, and promote and sell. So all in one cross-pollination of industries. We're talking about fashion, technology, film, music, a big part of it. So no longer old systems are working. We see so much on social media. Actually, today, Tesla, right? Is it Tesla? Announced possibility of leaving Facebook. Yeah, Elon Musk.
Yep.
Just announced that, and he's going to, and many other people. We see that old systems are no longer doing what they're supposed to do, and of course the aggressive push of the media or advertising on us on all channels is really irritating, and people want to leave and find a substitute, something that works better for them, where they can connect, communicate, and we're talking globally, where they can sell and get inspired,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Anyway, things what we buy, unless they're staple items like bread and, black and white underwear and so socks.
Yeah.
The products that we buy,
right.
Cars and luxury items, I would say, right? Conspicuously speaking. But anyway, luxury items, and not only designer items, not only clothing, but technology, right? with that, there's a huge aspect of emotional connection. So we want to get inspired. And nowadays we see so many advertisements like the one Kia, right? Kia 2018 with, let me see.
That's okay.
Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler.
Here we go.
And you guys did a big event here at Studio 110's headquarters a couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where you guys, you had your whole platform. And Eugene, I want you to touch on that about how that kind of, for all the listeners that, didn't have the opportunity to be at this exclusive event, you had it on an international platform. You had people watching all over the world. Tell my listening audience, if you can come a little closer to the mic, please, about that event and how that event really signified the industry and everything that you guys are working on to really change the name of the game now.
Well, the event was just an introduction of our framework to the closest.
You can just come a little closer.
Yeah, to the closest network of people that we doing business or who attend our events, and so on. It's also the purpose of it also was to create some media coverage for it, social media coverage, content based. As we made several videos of this, and it's going forward. It's not just we showed it to a handful of people here. Well, no, it was packed, of course.
Yeah, it was a very good event. And the name of your guys' company, again, to reintroduce to my listeners?
Yeah, it's Sule Group.
Sule Group.
Yeah.
And how can they find you guys? How can they reach you guys on social?
Sule Group and the Sule Era.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys, what's kind of a day-to-day, what's a day in and a day out for your guys' company, and what are you guys ultimately trying to achieve? What would be a home run for you guys?
Well, we're building a new framework, which is a number of websites. And that's going to be connected and integrated all together and solve most recent and most hot problems in the marketplace and in the media and in the creative arts and the world of advertising. So all this circle we're kind of trying to connect and build together, because just one simple solution doesn't do it anymore. For example, marketplaces like Amazon, others, they don't know how to promote the product, how to promote the brand. They spend a lot of money, a lot of efforts to do that. And social media networks and search engines and media sites, they don't know how to monetize. They just using old-fashioned advertising models.
Yep.
And that doesn't work on, especially on mobile devices and on the internet.
So what are you doing with your company to come in and change that? What is your opinion in terms of the growth pattern that it needs to be able to ultimately have and deserve?
Yeah, we're building different ways to monetize on media and on communication. Instead of reading people's computers and input, we're building the connection between businesses and brands and the audience. It's a totally different game, absolutely different approaches. For example, I was just working on my client content, putting on one of our newest marketplace, onocard.com. And I was just taking pictures of his, it's a furniture store, right? And I was taking pictures of his website to put on our website. This morning I woke up and I just checking out on the news, and all the sites I'm accessing, pulling off the furniture advertising to me. I'm not buying furniture, but they're thinking I'm buying it just because I'm online.
So what do you do in that case? What do you do?
It's just irritating as a user of the internet. It's completely irritating and funny, and it's useless for advertisers as well.
So you're looking within your guys' company. You're looking to ultimately make the user experience easier for when your clients and new clients of Sule come and join your forces, to be able to give them ultimately a new platform and a new understanding to be able to buy the products that they want to buy wherever it is.
Absolutely. People go online. If they want to buy something, they go to the marketplace. They don't go to social media to buy something unless they want to learn about new technology and new products. But while they're learning, that doesn't mean they already have made a decision to buy something. It's totally different approach. So if you're learning something, you're building this connection. So we want to provide the tools for businesses to educate their potential consumer about what they do and to build their story, build their brand. This is the most important thing, but not necessarily directly to push the sale. The sale comes in the mind of the consumer when they're ready to do something, and that's totally random. There's no connection between what we're putting in necessarily to what we want to buy. So it's a totally useless way of advertising.
Correct. Are there any upcoming events that people that are interested in learning more about your guys' company and ultimately the platform that you're building for technology purposes that you guys can talk about? Or
Yeah, we do a lot of things. Yulia conducts series of business talks. She could probably tell more about it.
So let's talk about that, Yulia. Talk about some of the upcoming events where people can come out and hear more of your forecast into.
And I would like to say a few words about her because she's a PhD candidate and professor at Art Institute.
Yes, I was just going to get into that.
Of branding and marketing.
Yep.
So she's a researcher. She's a theorist in newest branding science, and branding is a very new science. It's even marketing is relatively new science, but branding is the newest, and people a lot of times they don't understand how branding works, what it actually is. They misconcept branding with graphic design, which is totally different thing.
And the whole creative angle behind it too.
Yeah, it is there, but it's not the main thing. And so Yuli's work and her research and her thesis for her PhD program is understanding deeply how branding actually works, what it took biggest companies to build their name throughout hundreds of years, maybe sometimes. So that's her thing, and she's sharing this experience through her classes and talks and so on.
Right. And you're a professor at the Art Institute of Seattle, right. And also you're also someone that's well known and respected here in the fashion community.
That's correct. I have multi-discipline background. Education is a huge part of it. And I've been a student, I think, for all my life. I have master's in education. I have master's in business and now PhD. So it's a long run, and I really enjoy challenging myself and find new solutions, new trends, and definitely a new trend that is happening right now throughout all industries is emotional connection. Branding is not a logo. Branding is not a product. Branding is your gut feeling. So question is, how can you attach or build emotional attachment between a table and a person? This is what I do. I say I'm a brand psychologist. It's such a new discipline that it's almost impossible to find any information on my thesis, and actually the concept or my thesis is on consumer behavior and luxury fashion goods.
And how many classes do you teach at the Art Institute throughout the school calendar year? How many different courses do you teach?
I teach a variety of disciplines from economics to merchandising to marketing to branding. Higher level, 300, 400 level classes, usually branding.
And I heard there's quite a bit of sometimes quite a long wait list to be able to get into your classes because you're a very well-known, respected fashion professor, like you say, with a PhD and master's in it. And there's not too many people at your level and with your platform and your background, Yulia, here. So I think the Art Institute should feel very privileged, and lucky to have you as a professor there.
Thank you, and I do enjoy working there. It's a very unique environment, very hands-on projects, and my vision is, of course, always been is connection between real businesses, community, in this case, fashion and business community, beauty community, because again, we are connected. If you are going to focus only on fashion or only on music, you're alone in this world.
Yeah. Open up the doors a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit more out there than those two things. So. Yeah,
definitely. So back to branding. Yes, it's a relatively, I would say, very new discipline, and there are not that much scientific research being done. So what I'm doing is quite unique, and I'm looking into academic journals in marketing, of course, consumer behavior, psychology. So I'm pulling out little by little information from different industries.
And let's talk about where fashion is right now, locally in Seattle. Like, what are some brands that you're personally a fan of for current and up and coming that may have not been presented yet to, boutiques and retailers here around the greater Seattle Bellevue area?
It's very interesting what is happening in the business of fashion. I think what's happening now is we see that people like Dawn of Donametrics that works with a number of celebrities.
Beyonce, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga. Yeah,
Correct.
she's actually going to be a guest coming up on the show. Eric, I don't want you to look now, but I know Dawn is coming up, and like I said, Yulia introduced me to her, and she's excited to be a guest here on the upcoming Studio 110 Live show. She's
an extraordinary person that does wearable art and latex. Majority of her focus is latex fashion.
And I saw her products at that event. I mean,
Correct.
it just had its own iconic image and had its own look, and she was really cool. I mean, her and I
She's
chatted.
very laid back.
Yeah, she's really laid back, and is she also a professor? And
she has been teaching for a while.
Right.
I know she's been teaching in Japan for a number of years. Yes.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but how many local fashion designers that you have a good relationship with, that you work with, are working with Beyonce and Katy Perry and Lady Gaga? I mean, there's not too many.
Right, not that many, but Josie Virago, a number of her items and accessories has been featured at an American top model just recently, and we have Gustavo. We have
Gustavo Apiria. I was thinking about him as well.
yes. I feel like the level of fashion is definitely being improved in many aspects, because I see a number of designers coming, travel or migrating to Seattle and establishing a new sense of fashion. And again, it's a cross-pollination, not only fashion, but it's wearable art. Again, Dawn had an installation of her pieces in New Zealand, I believe, and she's going there. Not there, but it's going to be art world of art. She'll know better, but it's cross-pollination, and that's what I see happening with fashion designers. And my always vision being to bring together fashion designers, music, art, visual arts, as much as I can, photography, film, as much as I can, to find ways for local designers to express themselves and to find channels to find new customers.
Yeah, and what's your biggest piece of advice that you would offer? And I know this is free advice right now. Normally, you have to sign up for one of Yulia's classes and spend a lot of money. But at Studio 110 Live, we like to unveil new levels of principles to our visual listeners and our audio listeners. What would be that one piece of advice coming from you, Yulia, that you would give to an up and coming newer designer that's just trying to maybe start off with some T-shirts or hoodies and be able to progress into outerwear, maybe touch leather, other type of prints and textiles. So what would be that one piece of advice that you would give to an upcoming designer?
A couple of things. Number one, you need to learn as much as I can from the masters. You need to watch and be quiet and follow the rules of how to make a garment, to understand, so you can then claim that you are a fashion designer. Or then if you don't follow principles of fashion design of a garment, then you're not a fashion designer, you're a fashion stylist. All right, it's number one. Number two.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Number two, you need to be authentically believing in what you do. Let me just quote. There is a big news happening with Lang Wang, in the house of Lang Wang, and people say this. I quote one of the comments, one of the people who commented on the changes happening at the House of Lang Wang. High fashion needs the cult of a personality. Fashion has gotten too democratic. I want the mercurant superstar. I want the elitist and the snobbery. And yes, bring Albus back. Albus is the creative director, being creative director for a number of years at House of Lamont. So what I'm trying to say is you got to have a personality, and it needs to be, you need to be truly believing in yourself.
Engaged in your brand. And I think we recently saw that too with the new creative director that Gucci brought on. I mean, he's completely taken the line, and it's the pedestal that Gucci's on, and just, from women's handbags to even the men's and women's collection. I mean, it's always been an iconic brand, but with this new, this most recent creative director at Gucci came in, he remodeled the kitchen, but he kind of, brought in new hardware and platforms that you see on the women's handbags. For example, like when you go through Nordstrom's and you see the Gucci shop down there, it has a whole different look to it.
Tom Ford definitely the one who got a very precise Gucci sense of a brand. Tom Ford, yes. And it's very interesting. He would say in his documentary that Gucci, the house of Gucci, is its own trend forecasting. We don't need anybody. We set trends, by the way. So
that's a pretty bossy line to say. We don't need anyone's help. We got it. And on a personal level, Yulia, one of my favorite brands, and you and I have talked about it, is D Squared. I mean, their denim.
Those guys.
Those guys are, they're always out, the twin brothers, Darren and Dan, they're always out of the gate just with the most iconic, especially on the leather. I mean, the leather jackets, they'll do like just the
perfect fit.
The perfect fit. And the perfect fit, and that's translated into other brands that they have worked with, like Diesel.
Sure.
And Diesel Black Gold. And even brands like Zara have been able to embellish and take patterns and prints that they are showing on their website for upcoming deliveries and upcoming seasons from D Squared's vantage point.
Correct, and they've got the personalities. They are what they represent. They wear it. They are it. So whatever they are or whatever they represent, they express it into the world in the form of fashion, clothing, accessories.
Do you wear any D Squared? Do you like D Squared?
I do. I have a pair of boots, very tight, but I have very skinny lower leg part, and it fits me well, but it's really, really skinny.
And you probably get
just the boots.
Compliments on them
Clothing,
when you wear them?
No. Clothing, no. I'm size 12 in designer 12 or 14, I think.
There you go.
So it's...
So transitioning over here to Eugene here, just on the platform, what would you say are some things that frustrate you? And you touched on it a little bit earlier, but let's get a little bit more detail. What are some things that frustrate you right now on different levels of business practices that you're seeing that you want to come in there and ultimately change, and have that whole kind of reconfiguration, kind of with a whole new kind of creative director level and standpoint, Eugene?
Yeah, well, the biggest issue here right now is privacy invasion and the efficiency of advertising and marketing for businesses. So it's two ends. For the consumer, privacy invasion is extremely sensitive and important subject, especially because certain platforms, they're not just using it for their own marketing, but they're also selling this information to third parties. And they also allow third parties, like Facebook allows third-party apps to do quests, tests, different quizzes and other games. So people don't understand. I can get it that it's really entertaining and people are bored and they like to play these little games, but it's not free games. They collect not just everything you're putting on the computer, but also whatever your friends doing on their computers, on their accounts. So it goes viral and it collects multitudes of information, not only about you, but also about your friends and people you communicate with. And this data is being sold. You never know who's buying it. It could be anybody. And very often these companies that build these apps, they're located in third countries and you don't even know where they're coming from. So it's becoming extremely
serious.
Very serious. Absolutely.
And dangerous.
Absolutely dangerous. But they don't have any other way to monetize. They don't know how to monetize. Facebook came onto the market with almost 1 billion users without any income coming in. So they didn't have that model. So what they did, they applied practices that used to implement it in Google from the user's input when they would input in searches, which Google thinks that's what people want to buy. That's another subject again.
Yeah.
But they implemented the same principles in Facebook in order to flood the advertising to the so-called precise targeting.
So how do you want to come in? And like you just said, I mean, privacy continues to be a large issue internationally, globally. It affects a lot of people, especially with fraud issues and hacking issues. So what are some levels and platforms that you're working on that and when will they be able to be addressed and be seen by your clients and more on an international platform for what Suli is doing?
Well, there are different approaches. First is technological approaches to protect user data. That's one thing. There are different new methods coming in, such as blockchain technology, for example. It could be a huge help with protecting some personal data. But the most important thing is not that. The most important thing is to eliminate user input from the marketing paradigm.
Okay.
From using it to sell product. We want to build a platform where it shouldn't really matter, except maybe just some kind of generic segmentation, like age, gender, maybe profession, that's it. Pretty much the same way television networks used to target their market, because in television, they don't know who actually watching, but they have certain profile based on the content.
And TV is actually, I know this just from being in radio, TV is actually rated every day. And now there's actual better companies on the rating cycle that actually can pinpoint through graphics and through different measurements to be able to see which demographic is going to be watching more towards a America's Next Top Model and which is going to be watching more towards a Jeopardy. So when you see clients and they place their commercials and their TV buys, the sales force at the ABC and the NBCs and the CBSs are a little bit more designed now, even through Comcast, local TV Spotlight, the local affiliate out here that has a lot of the airing rights to be able to air these. So I totally understand and agree with what you're saying. What are some current projects right now that are on the table that you can come out and discuss with us right now at Studio110.live?
Well, the first one is Sule Era, of course, because this is a multimedia portal and also social media hub. Because within the Sule Era, we're building Club Sule, which is going to be an exclusive social media network. It's not open to everybody. It's going to be expensive and paid, because we will be providing people within the network specific content, also ability to connect with each other on a business level. Okay. And it's a model also for business networking. So it's not just the social media to send messages and say happy birthday, but it also to help people to communicate on business and find connections that will help them to build their either professional growth or business growth or some kind of maybe creative growth, a promotion. So this is more professional network rather than just generic one. On the plans, there's also designed for completely new open social media where the profiling and the page is going to be organized completely different from Facebook, but that's in the white papers right now.
And how long are you before the platform is unveiled? Like, is it ready to fully go out right now? There's still some things that you're working on.
Sule Area is functioning right now in the point of the media blog pages right now, and the Club Sule is in the final stages of fine-tuning the login and certain issues just within the
I hear a phone going after someone. Yeah. Oh, it's okay, no problem.
Yeah,
but we do have people who are ready to start purchasing Sule Group, Sule Club membership, and they're waiting for those exclusive content, either physical or online, and of course, it's going to be an app. Right?
Yeah. There is an app. We just working on the final debugging and connecting the app with the
can we talk
with the website. Yeah.
Can we talk about the price of membership, or that hasn't been unveiled yet?
Price will be around $90 a month, and with certain discount with the yearly plan. So it's not cheap, but the value that we provide is covering it pretty well, because it's not just the exclusive content and the educational content that we will be providing, but also access to live events, and the members will be able to come free to those events.
And that event that you guys did up here was massively successful. I mean, you guys had models here, you had fashion designers here, you had just a lot of CEOs. I mean, it was a good turnout. It was here at Studio 110's headquarters here where we broadcast from. So I'm excited to be able to see, the platform that you guys continually build for your clients and for ultimately people to be able to come in and leverage, the businesses that they're building up and the empires that they want to be able to, be able to walk away from with that, current, time print, into history almost with everything that kind of you talked about earlier, Eugene, with, because I don't see privacy issues and these other large issues, going away anytime soon. I think people are always going to be able to kind of cut through the tape and cut through the concrete and be able to continue to disrupt these types of platforms.
I think it's so important to connect and be able to communicate with people, but find the people that you want to connect. Just what we've done. You've been a part of the event. You've been here, and you saw that. And now, out of that event came a number of people that you personally connected as a person, but also as a business.
Sure.
And so that's exactly what we are doing.
Right.
So it's connecting people. So they can then further communicate and develop their own, either personally or as a business, because we're all, in one way or another, we are businesses. We have something to express, present, sell, and it is global. It is global. The idea is there are no barriers. We are uniting people, not dividing them. No politics. So we are a platform that unite people on a global platform. No barriers.
And I think one thing that I've learned, and you can give me your opinion, Eugenia, being more of an expert on this subject. One of our friends on the show here, her name is Taya.
Yeah.
And Taya was a guest on the show. I want to say it was earlier in the week, and she's a local gal here out of the Pacific Northwest, and she's had an opportunity to be in Maxim and large scale magazines. So she has, an Instagram following. She has a few, but, one of them is like 76,000 followers on Instagram. So she has a large announcement that she's excited to make. And I said, you know what? I want you to put that on your social, that you've got this large announcement that you're going to be coming on my brand new show, Studio110.live, making that announcement on the 27th at 1:30. And I can see how it's, how many people have been affected by it, how many likes, how many comments. I mean, just the amount of talk that people have been, corresponding, with her and people that may, help her manage her social. And I think that's similar to ultimately the platform that you want to continue, be able to continue to build on these types of, global iconic issues, right?
I want to just quickly to add, it's the trust. It's the trust that she has with her followers, that she is now sharing that trust with you, with Studio 110.
Thank you.
And that's the thing, is authentically, she's coming off authentically, because these are her people that believe in her, trusting her word, and she's sharing that word, that wealth with you. And that's what it is about. It's connecting and then communicating and then whatever comes out of it.
Because I would think, with 73 or 76,000 followers, a majority of those will be tuning in and listening to my show. And the show is, I've been hearing from my producer and the staff here at Studio 110, we're growing very well, and it's exactly, where I want it to be at this exact standpoint. And with guests like you, Yulia and Eugene, a staple in the fashion industry here, and a professor, and you have your master's in Eugene, just your overall brilliance and the platform and just the success ratio that I saw at your guys' event here. I'm excited. And I don't even think, I get that, look, you have to have a membership. It's extremely important. But when you talk about, only $90 just for the opportunity to meet Dawn as an up and coming fashion designer, look at that opportunity. How many, like I said, and I could be wrong, and I apologize if I am, but I don't think there's a fair amount of fashion designers here based in the Pacific Northwest that are sending product to Beyonce. I don't think there's that many.
But it's not only fashion designers that people can meet.
No, it's a whole wide range. But I'm giving her as an example.
Right,
and she's a prime example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also, people like Dawn, for example, she inspires people, and she has certain aura around her, and a lot of different people is coming on the events, not just herself, but other people, creatives that come to our events. They create this atmosphere. It's part of the atmosphere. And what's happening, even though our events, especially Sule and Vogue parties, they look like an entertainment night party, cocktail parties, but people actually doing business there. And we didn't specifically tell people, oh, you have to connect and talk business. No, it just happened because of the whole atmosphere and because of type of people that coming in. And what happened, we have a lot of responses and feedback from our guests that they made business connections. They created new business. They made money. They find people that they connecting. And it's been happening for almost 2 years now. And that's what creates real value of what we're doing, because people are actually making money.
They are. They absolutely are.
And we're happy.
And it's coming off
we're really
authentically.
happy because of it.
And
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for another level too, as our mutual friend Ian from Glass Distillery. Ian was on the show a couple days ago, and he had a great time in here. He spent an hour with us, and we talked about Glass Distillery and how it's a brand that's evolving into almost 20 states nationally, and the recognition and the overall respect that it's getting as a brand. And he wants to do an event with my show down at Glass Distillery where he's going to co-host. And it's really cool what he's built up there. I mean, he's got his own airplane with the Glass Distillery being wrapped, and we've got actually product here in one of our closets here in the studio that he brought down for us. So, like you said, Eugene, it's not just fashion people. It's CEOs of very successful vodka brands, and then shout out to our buddy who's got a chocolate store down at the
Alex Salus Chocolate.
Down at
Thompson Hotel in Seattle. He has that store.
Yeah, that he came up and he had a whole bunch of his chocolates, and some of them were sugar free. And I'm not a huge chocolate fan, but I indulged and I tried a piece of the chocolate, and I'm glad that I did. So how do you with the platform, Yulia, on you being a professor and you doing everything that you're doing, how do you keep it all connected every day to be able to work with your business partner here, Eugene, on his platform, but then to be able to teach a number of classes? I mean, just being a professor is a full-time job in itself.
Yes, definitely. But the thing is that whatever I do, teaching or working on Soleil group projects, I always have an approach that whatever we do, it's all connected one way or another. So I try to always find opportunities for my students to connect to actual businesses. So most of their projects are actual businesses. So they build case studies that are not just made up a concept, but a concept that is doable and feasible. And that's the magic of actually the school. Here we go, the Ardents of Seattle, and one of the biggest actually the biggest show produced entirely by the student body is Art Institute Fashion Show. Once a year in March, we do it.
And you seem like you would be a tough professor. You seem like you give a lot of homework. You test the hell out of your students, and if those students aren't getting anything less than an A-, you are staying back and assuring them that they better turn it around pretty quick.
Well, I'm quite direct.
I am too.
Direct with, I
am too. I think that's the only way you got to be. But talk about just your style in the classroom. Like you seem like the type of person that if class starts at 8:30 and you walk in at 8:31, there'll be a problem, right?
It's a lot of fun. I witnessed.
Oh, you've gone in there, Eugene?
Yeah,
I was a guest.
It was a guest speaker.
Couple of them.
Yeah, but I keep it quite democratic. Actually, I'm very very open-minded, and all ideas are welcomed. But there are rules.
I'm sure there are rules. I'm sure, Eugene, when you walked in there, like not only was the cell phone turned down, but
the Russian in me, I guess.
You probably walked on eggshells, right? You said like, oh my gosh, this is actually my business partner, and I'm seeing her in a completely different mindset, a completely different frame. Speaking of fashion, before we wrap this up, I want to give a big shout out to my buddies, and I want you to see their line. Jason and Jamal from the High Shoulder. They've got a really cool streetwear brand.
I know them.
Oh, you know them?
Yeah, I've seen their work.
Yep. And they work with a designer, Trash by Tony.
Yes.
Who took their brand to New York Fashion Week. So I want to make that introduction to you and Jason, the CEO of the group, listening to the big show right now.
Yep.
Nothing gets me more excited than seeing different brands like the High Children's brand and other brands like that. My producer's telling me we're running a little bit over schedule. I got other guests coming in. you guys are more than welcome to hang out or kick your weekend off. I appreciate you guys coming in. Let's make it. Let's get you guys back in here again. There's always things to talk about on Eugene, on your platform, and on
our platform,
on your platform together. And I'm looking forward to coming to your next event. And let's just close it out by giving the address out.
Absolutely, there is a lot coming up soon. As soon as we actually will start opening the doors, I think that would be appropriate time just to introduce more specifically what we're doing. And it's coming in a few weeks, so it's not going to be like years or months. So it's pretty much almost ready to go.
So before you guys leave, just give the platform out where people can study and understand that, and then I'll
It is suleera.com, SULEYERA.com. That's the website, and the hashtag Suleera is well on Facebook, Instagram, other social media. Well, we're still using it, of course.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah. And the new e-commerce platform's coming called onocart.com. It's onocart.com. And that's going to be driven for small businesses to sell their products and services and promote their businesses, brick-and-mortar businesses mostly. And the new one's coming. It's not up yet. It's called shopsoleil.com. It's another marketplace. It's going to be similar, but designed for craftsmen, for fashion designers, for boutique stores, for high-end services, and people doing some kind of unique stuff.
And I'm sure you guys, I'm sure that there's not much of a turnaround time when people reach out and send messages. They get back to people pretty quick. Last shout out real quick is to our mutual friend, Olga, correct? Olga Schmidt. Olga, yeah, she's probably listening right now. She works for Zulily, right?
Yes.
Zulily headquarters down there on Elliott.
Seattle.
I met her also with you guys. She's one of the senior buyers for Zulily. So shout out to Olga and all your guys' friends. Once again, thank you for coming by my show today. And I think my producer is going out to get our next guest here in the studio. I'm going to give him a quick proper introduction. His name is Zach Wingfield. And he's a pretty big car guy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys are enjoy the weekend. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll chat here soon. So the next guest, Zach Wingfield from Z Wing Films, and Z Wing. He's got a big rally coming up that I'm excited to talk to him about. And he's an impressive guy. He's done a lot of things in the industry. And I welcome him into my new show here, Studio 110. Live. We could bring Zach in here. Let's put Zach right here where Yulia was sitting, and we'll get Zach to have the proper introduction that he deserves to have here. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
If you just want to put those headphones on here and come up a little closer to the mic so everybody can hear you. Introduce yourself for me.
I'm Zach Wingfield, and the owner of Zwing Rally.
There you go, and let everybody know the empire that you built and that you continue to build.
So, basically,
just a little closer to the mic for me. Thank you. Yeah.
We started as a film production company.
Okay.
So I work as an international automotive commercial film producer for Zwing Films.
Okay.
And that was the original company, which is now governing Zwing Rally. And now we've actually kind of tried to rebrand, and we've dropped the films. It's now Zwing Incorporated, and kind of works as the parent company to Zwing Films, Zwing Rally. And we also manufacture products now called the Zwing Bar, and we're kind of trying to expand in that way.
Talk about the bar. Talk about the new bar that you're unveiling to an international platform.
So, we're actually working with a new startup company called Gang Up, so that people that want to get an affordable price on a bash bar for their E36 like race cars can share the link with their friends, and then if they get 25 or 50 people to sign up, then everyone gets a certain discount, and they get $112 off.
And you built up, I mean, my producer Erica showed me some of your videos, a few of them just, on an international platform. And there's not too many people with your talent and your leverage and your, just operational skills to be able to build the empire that you build. Where do you feel, in your personal opinion, the car filming world is really headed on a global international standpoint?
Well, DJI is a big company that has kind of in my opinion, has like flooded the industry. It's pretty saturated right now, but it's also elevated it to be a little bit more competitive. And there are people now around the world that can afford not only HD, 4K resolution cameras, but also 3-axis gimbals and drones, and they're getting, cinematic Hollywood footage that we could have never done even back in 2011. Like nobody could afford that kind of stuff, and that was just 6 years ago.
And out of all the projects that you've worked on, what's been the one project that's always just kind of stood out that you'll never forget? Just that one experience that you're excited to share with my listeners. And I appreciate you sharing this today on your social. And I'd like you to be a regular guest on this kind of more automotive segment on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep.
I'd say my proudest film. We were staying in a villa in Thailand, and I wrote a script for a video that we created down in Australia in Brisbane on the Gold Coast. And basically from like concept to reality, I dreamed up this idea of building this E92 M3. It was the first E92 M3 in the world, in the Southern Hemisphere, with the Liberty Walk kit being installed. So we wanted to make it special. And so we basically took the car and we created the concept of making it look like a real life video game. And we spent 3 months down in Australia documenting it, and like 5 months putting it together, editing it back in Seattle. So.
And how many views alone did that get?
It's like 180,000.
Wow. And what kind of time period? I mean, probably pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah. The YouTube channel, there's an underwhelming amount of views for the amount of work that goes into this content. YouTube definitely favors consistency over quality. So if you're using YouTube as like a portfolio for your platform, it doesn't really work as best to your advantage as if you were to do, say, daily vlogs or something.
And do people ask you to come out and speak, in other opportunities, other obstacles in the industry that you're in? Do you do that, or do you kind of like to keep a lot of your secrets, up your sleeve, and when they need to be unveiled, they can be unveiled properly and in the right, correct way?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one because I do try to keep some secrets to myself, but it's pretty hard too when you're constantly being asked by people on Instagram or whoever. You get 20 DMs a day asking what kind of camera you use, what kind of software you use, what kind of this and that. And, but I've become a little bit more general with my answers.
Where was the last place you traveled to?
I don't know. Where's
the next place you go? Do you know what's next on Zach's calendar coming up, or?
I feel like I'm on the spot.
Oh, that's all right.
Questions. The next place.
Well, you are on the spot, buddy, because people can be. It's a show, so people can be watching and seeing you. But that's a good thing, because Zach Wingfield from Z Wing Films is definitely a creative. What's the correct, proper way to kind of address you from my listeners? You're a creative automotive genius. Would that be the correct way to put it?
Kind of a little bit more entrepreneur, because we're opening quite a lot of different companies right now. And
let's talk about some of these companies that you're opening.
Yeah. So Zwing Rally is mainly why we're here. And that's basically a supercar rally. If you guys have ever heard of Gumball 3000 or Gold Rush Rally, Target Trophy, it's a rally that has never been started in the Pacific Northwest. It's something that we don't have. It's something very exclusive that is usually down in California or in London or Dubai, and it's not something that the Pacific Northwest really has, and I really want to bring it up here.
And when will that be happening?
So May 25th to the 27th.
And where will that be happening at?
We're starting at Wooden Villa APC Auto Spa for the launch party, and then we go down to downtown Seattle, stay at the W, 5-star hotel, and then we Uber over to Ferrari Maserati, and we have a nice gourmet dinner there, and they're gonna set up catering and everything, and then in the morning we go to Alki Beach for the start line. We head down to Seaside, Oregon to catch the sunset and get good footage. And as well, we're also documenting the whole thing, filming it, and anyway. there's more details, but
Yeah, how can people still be part of this? Is it completely, are you sold out, or can people still, reach out and be committed to this?
yeah. So there's 120 cars maximum. 2 people per car can register, and there is still quite a lot of spots open right now. And most people like to jump in the last minute, but
And this is just a wide range of vehicles, I'm guessing.
it is a wide range, but we try to keep it exclusive, and I try to be, I guess you'd say, less subjective as possible. But in order to include certain cars that do want to be on the rally, because we don't have a lot of supercars and a lot of crazy luxury around here in Seattle, I have to be subjective.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Allow show cars or people who've just built their cars that I think are fit to be a part of it.
So since you said this is going to be, it's a tour, and you're going to be able to see these cars as they're going from point A to B to C to D, I would think that if I was just driving on the freeway and some of these vehicles pass me, I mean, it's an eye-opening experience. I mean,
Yeah.
for people that, aren't accustomed, whatever time of day it'll be, to be seeing these, luxurious high-end vehicles.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys. I mean, Maseratis, the Ghosts, right?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll have it. What are some of your hobbies and talents that you enjoy doing when you're not, in the grind of putting together big time events like the one you just talked about?
So I am huge into building cars myself. So, the original passion from all this came from me falling in love with cars before I was ever interested in picking up a camera. And we have the Zwing Drifts promo car, which I've built. It's a SEMA car that we bring down to Vegas every year. And basically, it's a 1998 BMW M3 convertible with an LS3 crate motor, which is the same.
I think Erica showed that to me. Yeah, I think I saw that. Now, is that your personal car?
Yeah.
So is that the car you drove here today?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we just actually got in a big car accident last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully you walked. It looks like you walked away from it okay. So.
Yeah. The car is in recovery right now.
Well, I'm sure with your team, I'm sure they'll be able to piecemeal that car back together and no issues. What do you just drive on your off days? What's your regular car?
I have an E30, which is like a more vintage BMW, and then just an F-150 that hauls my race cars around.
And out of all the videos and all the productions that you've ever been a part, and I'm not asking for an exact number, but what's been your highest viewed publication or audio presentation that you've put out under your wings and under your company?
I think the Ceramic Pro Dubai commercial that we filmed with the Batmobile over in the UAE it had a huge reach. I used to be an admin for a page called Street Effects, and we had 10 million followers. And that's when Facebook's organic reach was actually successful, and they didn't throttle all of your viewers.
So you just said 10 million on that one.
Well, 10 million followers were on that page, but we had up to 4.5 million views within 2 days.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So, I mean, that must have made you happy. I mean,
yeah, that was a good video.
And what are some ways that people can contact you? I mean, do you put that out there? Are there ways that people can reach out and contact you if they have questions? Are you an accessible type of guy? Are you more like a music artist or actor where you got to go through publicists or assistants?
No, I answer every single DM that goes through to my Instagram. It may take me a little bit of time.
So you could be 262 deep, but you will, before you go to bed, you'll answer it all. And what's an average question? Like, give me an average question that someone's hitting you up and asking you about.
A lot of people are asking about my girlfriend's cat, and
so completely just absolutely no relation to
no. A lot people are always asking about the rally or about when. The biggest thing is, when is your next vlog coming out? Everyone always asks me, when's your next video coming out?
And when is it coming out?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. Can we unveil that on this show? Could we have that opportunity to unveil that next big presentation on this show?
Sure. Well, the series we're currently working on a vlog series, which is the E36 build series, which is when we took the car, when we traded it for a Sony A7S camera.
Yep.
We we traded that for the car with a blown motor, pulled the motor out, and it sat under a cover for a year. And then when we were ready to build, we spent 4 months of like pre-production planning, and then all the parts came in at once. And then from there, we documented everything. And so instead of just daily vlogging or weekly vlogging, what's really important to me and something that I don't like to sacrifice is quality. And I want to make sure that I'm releasing things consistently, so it's not a waste, but it has to be there has to be high quality on the content and the way it's edited. Otherwise, I don't feel comfortable putting.
Yeah,
it
no,
out
you're a
there.
perfectionist like I am. I'm very I'm all about detail, and I think you and I are very similar to that. Now you're also a pretty young guy. So at what point will you feel comfortable to like hang up the jersey? In terms of, when I say hang up the jersey, like, walk away from it and start something completely brand new? Or will you just always be in this because you'll always think you'll always have that kind of a level of critical understanding and platforms to be able to unveil on an international level and standpoint from the company that you built?
I'd say the only way I'd hang up the jersey is by stepping away to allow that residual to come in through employees and growing a team, to get to a point where I can kind of take my mind off things, not be so crazily involved and stressed out from handling so many different angles at once, and come back into it being able to, the goal is to take these companies to create this product, the Zwing Bar, to have the Zwing Rally be successful.
And I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be.
And for all those things to be successful is to create enough capital to be able to have some financial freedom, which gives me enough leeway to go back into Zwing Films and start creating content again that I'm more passionate about. Because when you're stuck with Zwing Films being a film producer, being your number one source of income, I've never worked for anybody, so I've always owned my own company. And to be 24/7 all the time, it becomes obligation instead of passion at times. And so, the video quality starts to fade and dwindle down, and that hurts me to see, my content slacking. And so, I want these companies to create enough income to come back into it and, attack it better.
Do you like your team? Is there much turnaround in terms of having to bring new people on, or does your current team get it and they understand you and they understand ultimately where the platform needs to, be aligned and be able to get to the next level ultimately?
So as far as team goes, I only work with contractors right now. I would love to have employees, and I'd love to grow a team at Zwing. We would, the first step is a Zwing headquarters. I really want to rent out a studio, shop, warehouse where I've got a lift, I've got a room with like 6 max, kind of like outside here in your guys' place.
Yeah, Studio 110's headquarters.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Just have a desk with that, and then a creative space, and that way we can create content there on the spot.
So where's the magic happening right now? Like where I don't need a city or anything, but is it happening just at your place, or do you have a small facility, or where's the magic currently happening?
Yeah, I live downtown Seattle right now, and that's where we're doing a lot of the editing. But we also, like today, for example, I'm shipping out a hard drive to Pennsylvania to a contractor of mine, Connor, who's going to be helping out with a car rally, a supercar rally that we filmed in Europe, and he's going to help me with the post-production on that.
So great. And in radio, we always have new listeners coming in and watching, and I want to give Zach Wingfield another big shout out for being our last special guest of the big program today before we get into the weekend. I know Erica is excited to kick off her weekend. She's been working extremely hard here on making the show stay in its number one standing. So let's talk again about the Z-Wing Rally. I want you to give all the details about that, because I think there's still a couple spots for people out there to not feel nervous about putting their car in it, because you know what? Look, if it gets a little rock chip here and there, you and your team, or you guys can refer them to someone to do a little buffing, right, on the Lamborghini hood, right?
Absolutely.
So give those details again for me, buddy.
Well, is there a first bullet point you want to start with?
No, I wanted you to just talk about the Z-Wing Rally. I want you to talk about the rally in itself and the details that you'd like to share again for the new listeners that are just kind of coming in right now.
So as far as the Zwing Rally goes, to give you some general information, well, first of all, what is a supercar rally, right? a lot of people have no idea what it is. When you think of rally, people think about rallycross like driving a Subaru through the woods at 100 miles an hour. But a supercar rally is more about the camaraderie between you and your team and all the people around you. So, when you're driving a vehicle, say you buy a supercar or a McLaren and you want to drive it on the highway and you want to drive it fast without always getting pulled over, you don't get targeted as much when you have 100 supercars around you.
Correct.
And you all get to kind of have fun with each other. And when you show up to the checkpoints, it's just like
it's one big family. Like Sir Mix-a-Lot, my guest last Thursday, he's part of I don't know if it's called the Lambo Club or whatever, but he's got a Lamborghini. And he drives around with 6 or 7 of his friends and stuff like that. So I just wanted you to kind of touch real quickly on how people can sign up and be part of the upcoming rally. That's okay. I think you thought we wanted to kind of give the full unveil. I just want more for the listeners now to have the opportunity and the directions to be able to sign up for it.
So if you go to zwingrally.com, there's a password and there's instructions on how to get that password. And so I encourage everybody to send me a DM, a direct message, to get more, or to obtain the password to get more information about it. All the itinerary and everything is on there.
And this will be a good opportunity too for people that are very huge car fanatics to be able to have this video will be international, so everybody will be able to see it, and I think it'll highlight your rally. And like you said earlier in the conversation during the interview, Zach, that this hasn't really been done here before.
Yeah.
You see it being done a lot in Vegas and in California and probably Miami and different parts, not only of the country, but of the world. So for you to build this platform out here for the Pacific Northwest is, big props and kudos to you, man, for what you're continuing to build. And I'm excited for this Z-Wing Rally. I can't say that my car would be a proper fit. I like my car; it's a new car, but it's not like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Ghost or one of the fancy BMWs, and that's okay. That's okay. It suits my needs, and I like the car a lot. And you know what? Usually I wouldn't put it out there on radio purposes. I'm not going to talk about the color or anything like that, but I've personally been a fan for a long time of the Chrysler 300.
Okay.
And I recently got a brand new. I got the S model, and I got the fast engine. And I'll tell you, when I want to clear an intersection, I can do it. I mean, I don't even have to hit too hard on that gas, and I'm clearing the intersection. So. That's another big shout out that we got to give. I don't know if you know any of the guys down at the Larson Automotive Group, or if you ever do business with those guys, but big shout out to the team down there. They're always taking care of me. I know they work with Russell Wilson, and they work with a lot of the Seahawks players. So shout out to them, Louie and his whole staff down there. Maybe that would be a good introduction for you, Zach, to meet the GM down there running the whole scene. But what is your opinion and thoughts on just the newer cars that you're seeing coming out on not only fuel efficiency, but just the way, they're not kind of building them like they used to, and I'd like you to kind of touch on that a little bit.
For one, I'd say a lot of these newer cars are now switching to the way they're wiring the cars is a little more difficult, and I'm kind of afraid that in the future that when we encounter car issues, we're going to need to become wiring geniuses and not wrench turners as much anymore. And every mechanic that you'll ask, do you like wiring? They all
hate it. You can pay them $150 an hour to do it, but they'll do it.
Yeah. I got to sit in a 2017 Ford GT, actually with Henry Ford III. He gave me a ride around on the track down in Utah.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, in his Ford GT. But
what's he like?
He's cool. He's a cool guy. He's part of a pretty crazy family, so it was a pretty awesome opportunity to meet him. But being in the 2017 Ford GT was a seriously incredible experience.
What's the horsepower on that?
I'm not sure. I think it's a twin turbo V6, and I think it puts out something like 600. I could be completely
because I was at a St. Patrick's Day party this past weekend, and you probably know the car. It's Dodge. I think it's the new.
Oh, it's the Demon?
The Demon has 840 horsepower. Yep. This guy that I know, his wife just got one, and she was on a waiting list. I think it was $160,000 for the car. And it's, way more power than a Lamborghini or Ferrari.
It's the only purpose-built drag car in production total.
And 840 horsepower?
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
just
as far as I know.
so
yeah.
what? So 0 to 60 in what? Is that like 1 second?
It's probably like 1.9 seconds or something like that.
Wow.
Maybe not. I mean, that's a Tesla. That's a Tesla speed. I don't think it's fast.
And what are your thoughts on the automotive self-driving cars? I mean, we've been hearing through the news that there's been some kinks and issues that they have to work out. But what are your thoughts on cars now that are just driving themselves?
I think that's pretty scary.
Would you personally own one?
Yeah, I'd personally own one. I would be more personally scared of the other people using the autopilot.
And when we talk about people like, pioneers like, Musk behind the Tesla brand, like, what do you think his next? I mean, he kind of unveiled a car that's going to go up against, Porsche. It looks similar to the Porsche, and it looks like a really nice car. But, what do you think, what do you think his vision continues to stand in the automotive business?
I think he's going to take over the world. That guy is insane. Elon Musk is like super inspiring to tons and tons of people. I think that one of the coolest things that he's built so far was the semi-truck, the electric semi-truck.
I saw that too. Yep. And I don't even know. I mean, I haven't done a lot of research, but are they selling well? That and the new kind of.
I don't know about as far as how they're selling, but I know that all the specs on them far outweigh and beat anything on the market, and they're incredible.
I like the Tesla like mini SUV. Like it's almost kind of like it does have the Lambo doors. Like the doors kind of come up like a Lamborghini. So it's been really great to have you on today, Zach, and I appreciate all the things that you did with social to promote my new show, Studio110.live.
Yeah.
And like I said, if there's that opportunity for us to maybe do like a co-hosting version outside of the studio at your headquarters or at an upcoming event, I think we should talk about. I think my staff here at Studio 110 should talk to you about that. I think it'd be cool to get out, and especially with one of your new films that you're working on. I did it yesterday with my buddy Huey P. His previous song reached over 1 million on World Star Hip Hop.
Oh wow!
So he allowed me to play his new record on my show yesterday, and I think my producer Erica told me just that one segment had about 31 shares. So
wow,
it did well. So I would give you the open platform if you want to come in and use this as a launching pad to promote a big announcement coming up. A shout out to another friend of the show, Taya Rose. She's got a big announcement that she's going to be making on this show next Tuesday, and she's got like 77,000 followers. So it's been great to have you in, Zach. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody out there listening?
Man, I didn't think about that. I don't know.
Well, that's all right. The air time is yours until we sign off here. So family, friends. Yeah, well, I can reach out to some Mix-a-Lot. He's getting ready to embark on a 47-city tour right now. But
whoa, that's crazy. 47 cities.
47 cities, and he drives himself too because he doesn't fly. He drives his own tour vehicle.
Wow.
So if you're driving down the road and you see this big old,
Mix-a-Lot
Mix-a-Lot is driving it himself. So
wow.
Probably listening to Posse on Broadway or My Hoopty. So give me a couple shout outs and we'll get the show closed out and we'll get our way onto the weekend here, right?
Well, I guess you could say shout out to some of the sponsors on the rally, which is Zadart Exotics. They are the supercar rental company in Bellevue. They're about.
I passed by them. They're actually a couple of blocks away from Studio 110's headquarters.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think they're the only kind of shop of its kind in this area, and they're going to be booked out for this rally. They're definitely going to need to bulk up their inventory because I think they have right now 15 cars.
So you're pretty much taking all of them. So if people want to, be able to have access to a luxury car, they'll have to, go out of state to get it.
Yeah. They're actually just yesterday, their brand new McLaren that they just bought, though, somebody rented it and completely totaled it on the highway, just I think out here in Bellevue.
So that's probably a sleepless night, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably not getting much sleep that night.
Yeah.
Even though you probably have a hefty insurance premium. I mean, when you call whoever that guy is at Zadart, Zadart, say, hey, I just crashed your $1 million car. It's probably not the nicest conversation. Like, hey, you want to go out for happy hour tonight? I just crashed your nicest car that you had in the showroom. So I can't even imagine what type of phone call that would be.
$250,000 car completely totaled.
And how do you do that? I mean, are you driving blindfolded or what?
In Washington, it's always raining and can be oil on the ground.
Yeah, but everybody, it's like I love the people that back up 6 miles to watch a traffic stop. It's the first time they've ever seen a state trooper pull someone over. It's the first time they've ever seen the red and blue lights. Like, guys, it's a traffic stop. he probably had expired tabs. Do we have to back up 6 miles on the highway to
Yeah.
watch a traffic stop? I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah. Well, the issue too is there's a lot of people that don't exactly have quite the skill to drive a $250,000 car, and they, get a little gas happy and they want to take it up to 150 miles an hour.
Well, then they should go out to the racetrack and not, put other people's lives in jeopardy on 405 North that just want to go home and kick off their weekend with their family and friends. I mean, wherever you work, if Microsoft, Amazon, I know it's stressful out there, but come on, let's not put other drivers at risk here in a $250,000 car that you're crashing.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up for the rally as well. Is that's something that we really want to be cautious of, is just safety and making sure that people understand that it's not a race. The Zwing Rally is just checkpoint to checkpoint. It's casual driving. There's going to be some fun. Some of the participants are, of course, going to want to be reckless on there, but we encourage everyone to be safe.
And you won't go to court if anybody gets a ticket or anything like that. You will be as far away removed from those types of platforms and settings if possible, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming in. I want to thank Yulia and Eugene for coming in, my sister Samantha and my brother-in-law Matt. I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys off the air and having a real conversation. And of course, my boy Uncle Ike, Ian, and his right hand, Jen, for coming in today. It's been one of those shows: automotive, cannabis, family, big time web platform design, fashion, PhD. So these are the type of shows that I like, and I'm looking forward to kicking off the weekend now. Signing off at Studio 110's headquarters. We'll be back Monday with we got a busy week next week, right, Erica? Monday's going to be crazy, she's telling me. But I told my producer not to think about work this weekend. And you're doing a running tournament this weekend. What are you doing this weekend? Talk loud.
A retreat this weekend.
And where's that retreat, Erica?
In Bellingham.
Bellingham. Well, safe travels. Safe travels back to Bellingham and back home. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend out there. Hopefully the weather will be clear if you're coming into Seattle, to the Bellevue area to enjoy a weekend with family or friends. Enjoy it. And we will be back Monday through Friday. I'm not going to just say Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. Follow us on our Instagram at studio110.live. We've got a whole team working on our social networking here. And I look forward to signing back on the air 1 o'clock Monday afternoon.